incredibly doesn't see Blessé's Sabre, which was low and to his right. Blessé faces a hard choice. The MiG is meat on the table, but if Blessé goes for the kill, he might lack the fuel to get home.
I'm thinking, why does this happen to me when I go on mission after mission after mission and I got all kinds of fuel and I can't find them? And here I am when I don't barely have enough fuel to get to the water, and here's somebody to fight with. I said, oh, what the hell, why not? And I flipped it over into a turn, pulled up close to him. I came up underneath him and shot him down.
It was his 10th kill, but it cost him 200 pounds of much-needed fuel. Now, alone over enemy territory, Blessé's in trouble. October 2nd, 1952. In the skies over North Korea, Frederick Boots Blessé has just destroyed an enemy MiG, but his fuel tanks are now dangerously low.
I got three alternatives right now. I would like to get all the way home. If that doesn't happen, if the winds are wrong, I don't have enough fuel, maybe I can get to Pangyangdo.
Pangyangdo Island has an Allied radar station and 5,000 feet of hard, sandy beach. It's an emergency landing field, but with treacherous risks.
The only problem with it was it had about a 50-foot cliff on each end of the landing strip. But if you're looking at bailing out into the third most shark-infested bay in the world, or maybe taking a crack at that 5,000-foot runway, it doesn't look too bad.
Blessé still hopes to make it to his base in Kempo. He shuts off his engine to save his last dregs of fuel and glides at 180 knots, the Sabre's best glide speed. But within minutes, his Sabre losing altitude and the wind against him, Blessé knows he can't make it back to Kempo or even Pangyangdo Island. His best hope is to eject into the shark-infested sea. Blessé restarts his engine, uses his last drop of fuel, climbs back to 13,000 feet, and heads for the coast. Then his engine flames out of fuel, well over North Korea.
I got over the coastline. Took a tremendous amount of fire.
Heavy 57mm anti-aircraft fire fills the sky. With no fuel, Blessé can't weave to avoid the ground fire. The flak bursts so close, the air pressure forces his wings up. But he runs the gauntlet and dashes to the sea, crossing the coast at only 3,000 feet. On his radio, one by one, his squadron mates try to keep his spirits up.
This still kind of chokes me up thinking about it. It was a very, very emotional moment for me. I remember after the last guy stopped, I sat there for a full 8 or 10 seconds, and I thought, God, what a wonderful, wonderful bunch of guys.
Ejecting from a jet aircraft is extremely hazardous. The sudden G-forces can cause severe spinal injury. Arms and legs not tightly controlled can be severed by the windscreen canopy or cockpit walls. Out of the cockpit, the parachute opening can snap the body again, intensifying injuries. Blessé ejects. He and his seat, with parachute attached, are blown out of the aircraft. Luck is on his side as his parachute unfolds and he safely hits the water. Within 10 minutes, Dumbo, the air-sea rescue flying boat, sweeps down and, as enemy shells fall around them, rescues Blessé. The next day, Boots is at a press conference in Japan. Then on his way home, with 10 kills as America's top jet ace. By the end of the war, the Air Force had lost 78 Sabres, but shot down 793 MiGs, a kill ratio of 10 to 1. This air supremacy kept Allied ground forces from being pushed into the sea by overwhelming numbers.
We were dominant because we had a bunch of fighter pilots that were very highly experienced, and we had a good airplane, and we were taught ahead of time by our intelligence people what the MiG could do in relation to what we could do. That, coupled with hours and hours and hours of dogfighting in the U.S., down in our hearts somewhere, we thought the time is going to come when I can use all this.
In 1955, after the war, Blessé took the hard lessons he learned in Korea and wrote No Guts, No Glory. It became a Bible for fighter pilots. Where Boelke's dicta laid out fighter combat in broad strokes, No Guts, No Glory gave pilots the in-depth nuts and bolts tactics, the tools of survival and victory.
No Guts, No Glory, great concepts on mutual support, which we still publish today. Basic defensive maneuvers that are put out in that are still applicable today.
Though the Sabre at 679 miles per hour was over 200 miles per hour faster than the World War II P-51 Mustang, they had one thing in common. They both fight with guns. That means getting close to the enemy. But the U.S. Navy, concerned that Soviet bomber attacks can threaten its aircraft carriers, needs a weapon that can destroy the enemy at long range. In the mid-1950s, the rocket-powered Sidewinder missile changes air combat forever. By the Vietnam era, the Sidewinder could accelerate in seconds to a speed of Mach 2.5, over 3 times faster than most jets. Their heat-seeking sensors can lock in on a target's tailpipe from over 2 miles. Improved missiles like the longer-range Sparrow follow. With the ability to kill far beyond gun range, the experts, as they had with the coming of jets, declare that dogfighting is obsolete.
Why did the experts think dogfighting was obsolete? Ha! That really evokes a flood of emotions, memories. Who were the experts, pray tell? People who'd been promoted beyond their capability, way beyond their usefulness, who'd never fought, who looked at manuals, who looked at, I don't know what the hell they looked at.
In the late 1950s and 1960s, dogfight training was minimized. The Navy's new interceptor, the F-4 Phantom, was designed to shoot down Soviet bombers only with long-range missiles.
Remember, the leadership didn't think there was going to be any more dogfights. It was only going to be shooting missiles at a Russian bomber coming across the ocean. So why would you need a gun? The Navy decided not to put a gun in the airplane. Mistake.
Some pilots, like Robin Olds, a World War II ace and future Vietnam commander, pushed for conventional dogfight training.
I was called in to account by my boss, who was a 2-star general in the basement of the Pentagon, who very mildly chiding me, Robin, I'm tired of these staff studies of yours about our lack of conventional capability. Mind you, Colonel, we're never again going to fight a conventional war. And I looked at him and thinking to myself, General, where have you been since 1945? What do you think we've been doing?
The American reliance on high tech will face a dangerous and bloody reality. Early in the Vietnam War, the United States wasn't achieving the kind of air superiority it had in past wars.
There was a gentleman by the name of Captain Frank Ault that did a report called the Ault Report, because our senior admiral said, why do we shoot so many missiles and not hit anybody? What's going on?
In 1969, Ault's report made 242 recommendations. There was one that stood out above all others.
He said the problem we're having is the pilots don't know how to dogfight. They've gotten away from the in-close dogfight because we thought the technology was going to dictate that that was no longer a necessity.